Welcome. This is Trinity Gaia Oracle. In this series, we will be taking a journey through each card in the Divine Masculine Healing Oracle deck by Christabel Jessica, and the artwork is by Cecilia G. F. I will open this reading by going through the guidebook, as there's just such richness and value that is present within the guidebook. And then I will move into an intuitive reading of the card. For the collective tuning in, it will be primarily a channeled reading. The opening statement for Eros is, you do not need to be fully healed to be in a relationship. Relationships can be integral to healing, providing connection and physical touch and meeting your needs. According to Greek mythology, in the beginning there was nothing, only chaos and the primordial void of the universe. Then, the universe fathered Eros, the personification of love. In an alternate retelling of his origin story, Eros is the son of Aphrodite and Ares. Eros, the god of love, desire, and passion, would use his bow and quiver to shoot golden arrows into the hearts of potential lovers to incite feelings between them. Although he spent his days sparking love, he was determined not to have the same fate. However, one day, it was he who would be struck by love. Insanely jealous of the beauty of a mortal named Psyche, Aphrodite sent Eros on a mission to make her fall in love with an ugly man. Upon seeing Psyche for the first time, Eros was so distracted by her beauty, he accidentally pricked himself with the arrow intended for her. And so it came to be, the god of love fell in love himself. Seeking a relationship as an avoidance mechanism is different from combining a connection with another individual alongside inner work. It is beneficial to be on a journey towards self-actualization, awareness, and self-soothing before entering a relationship. However, that doesn't mean you have to be at a place of completion. An intention set in motion matched with the growth relationships offer can be ideal. There is beauty to be found in remaining single, as there is through relationships. The remedy to certain wounds and meeting certain needs require elements plentiful in relationships, as some of these are inherently challenging to address in isolation. Some scars remain dormant until a trigger draws them to the surface, ready to be released and soothed. A relationship offers the environment for this. If you have an avoidant or anxious attachment style, working towards having a secure attachment occurs through learning via interaction. Hyper-independence can be overcome by slowly easing into receptivity with a partner. Fears of intimacy can be healed through being intimate. Fears of vulnerability can be healed through being vulnerable with a partner. Fears of rejection and abandonment can be healed by opening your heart to another. Sexuality can be liberated through opening up sexually with a lover. Of course, only do these things when you feel ready and safe. Learning how to communicate effectively arises from difficult conversations and conflict resolution. Developing empathy and understanding comes from learning about another person's idiosyncrasies, patterns, and ways of thinking. You do not need to love yourself 100% to be loved and to love another. Embracing self-love can be mirrored through the love of another provides you with, and you can learn how to give yourself love by seeing how you give it to a partner. Make it a goal to lavish yourself in love as grandly as you do your partner, instead of giving love to get love. You can be in a relationship as you are now, even with parts of your life not fully figured out. Be on the journey of self-love and healing so that you are not relying on another to make you feel happy and whole. However, remain open to love. We're going to move into the intuitive reading for Eros at this time. And, Eros, what stood out to me right away was the order in which things occurred. So he was definitely, I don't want to receive my own arrow. I don't want to fall in love, but I am the god of love. Yet he hadn't really experienced this himself. He had witnessed it in those that he had, struck with the arrows. The order that it happened, if you really pay attention, he became fascinated, distracted, and in his distraction, he was pricked by the arrow meant for Psyche. But he was already fascinated and distracted by her. So it's like the arrow is the symbol of the divine going, yes, yes, you, Eros, the god of love. You should probably experience this. Let me help you. You're already halfway there. Let me show you why. Let me assist you in understanding why you're fascinated, why you're so distracted. It's like when you encounter a good book, for example, and you read the back of it and it sounds like you're hooked. You're like, I gotta buy this. I have to know. You maybe read the sample if it's online. You read the sample and you're just, it's not enough. You have to buy it. You have to know the rest. It's similar to that, except for it's like it's a gift. It's gifted to you. So you get to that point and you're like, man, I have this gift card. I'm going to use it. So the arrow, the divine intervention, if you will, is that gift card that allows you to go, all right, I really want to read the rest of this book. What is in here? I am curious. Because you didn't just read the back, you read the sample and you were still curious. You were still fascinated. And when you have someone who is the god of love, for him to be fascinated, that's a rarity. That's a very unique. Psyche was a very unique individual to inspire curiosity in Eros. Imagine being the god of love. It's not often that you find yourself genuinely curious about another person to this extent, to which you would be distracted like this. Now, it's also very clear that a lot of times nobody, like we think we must be perfect, we must be 100% ready, there must be everything ready, like the red carpet needs to be rolled out when the person that we actually want in our life, we're like, yeah, we're good, let's do this now. That's just an unfair expectation of yourself, and it's also unfair to them, because until that red carpet's there, they don't get to experience the healing that they can receive through being in a relationship that, if it's to this extent, it's reciprocated. You are both fascinated. You are both curious. And that's on a soul level. It's because you have a contract. It's because this person is meant to help you heal, and you're meant to help them heal, because the way the two of you reflect one another, fancy words for trigger one another, is you're contracted to help one another heal those hurts. You're able to know with this individual that you're safe to be vulnerable, to re-experience bad things and know they're not going anywhere, that they're going to hear you out and they're going to be the contradiction to your experience. And you're that for them too. And that is why you're not supposed to be 100% healed and have every I dotted and T crossed and the red carpet rolled out. Because you can't heal those parts of yourself if you're not with someone who can actually bring up those hurts to be healed. Now, obviously, this is someone that you are practicing discernment with. You're not going to be resonating with Eros, who is reluctant, who does not want to experience this, right? You're not going to be resonating with this reading if you yourself are feeling like you have it all figured out. If you yourself are feeling like this is exactly where you want to be. This expectation that we have in our society that's placed upon us, like mainly in like commercials and things like that, where you have to be perfect, you have to have it all taken care of, and everybody has traumas, everybody has been hurt, everybody has somewhat of, as a result, I don't want to say obstacle course, but it's pretty much that. It's like it's field day. And you have all of these games that you have to go through in the day. And, you know, from baseball to football to, you know, whatever it may be, from wherever you're at, it's just like a bunch of activities. But you have to participate in all of them. And this individual has participated in all of them with you. And or you're aware of them having participated. And they're still there. So you unintentionally may have been testing one another for quite some time. And they're still there. They're still standing. They haven't lost interest. And it's not a thing of like, hey, lost interest. Which, I mean, Eros is a very amorous guy. So when he loves with all of himself, yeah, okay, that could definitely be an energy that he's in. However, and definitely Psyche would be right there with him. She's his equal. However, this is somebody that you have, because of all of these obstacles and these things that have happened, and it's organic because it's just life. Life is not perfect. Life is chaos. And you try to organize it and find order. And a lot of times we find that through people that are anchors for us. Friends, individuals that we know actually care about us as a person, as someone with feelings and thoughts and emotions. That it's not about a currency. It's about being there for you because you matter to them and they matter to you. You enjoy one another's company, and you've enjoyed one another's company over a long period of time. This doesn't just happen in a day. It's something that happens over time. So, yet again, as it said in the reading, like you don't do anything unless you feel comfortable, unless you feel it's the right time, unless you feel safe in allowing this individual to be present when you're vulnerable by choice, so that you can heal, so you can have that conversation that seems a little intense, because you already know that they've run the gamut and they're still there. That their intention is not to hurt you, but to understand. That is why you can be in a state of maybe on this particular day, at this particular time, in this particular conversation, and you can look back at it as well and go, you know, maybe I loved myself like 70% at this point. But because of how much I loved this individual in this conversation, I realized that I loved myself more than 70% in that moment. I actually loved myself 80%. And that's one instance. You do that very same thing for them. It's like you rise to the occasion because of the love and the respect that you have for the other person. Shows you how much love and respect you actually have for yourself. There is independence. You are separate individuals, whole within yourselves. But you're teammates, you're partners, and you have a common goal. And you can have this in many different dynamics and situations. Yes, this one is very intimate. It's very muchly about your heart space, very muchly about being vulnerable. But that does not change the ground rules. They've been your friend for a long time, even if you both knew you had feelings. They respected your boundaries and you respected theirs. They were demonstrating the foundation between the two of you being friendship. So, if you're here for a reason, it's because you feel you're at some kind of crossroads where you're feeling like you're going to gamble the entire relationship by being vulnerable. Okay. Well, if you don't have this difficult conversation, you're kind of taking away the opportunity from both of you by not even showing up. It's a encouragement to roll the dice, to take the chance, to let go of the burden of holding on to this truth that you hold, that you have all this anxiety about. Because this person, the reason you're tempted to do this, the reason you're at this crossroads is because a part of you already knows that this individual is the only person you're meant to share this with, because they're the person that has shown that they will be there for you when you're not necessarily there for yourself, and thus inspire you to see how much more you love yourself than you thought you did already. And you do the same for them. When you work together, when you communicate this with this other person, you will both walk away knowing and understanding yourselves more completely. That is why they're in your life. It's not a codependency. It's not you are my identity. It's not your opinions become mine. It's not that kind of a thing. Because if it was, you wouldn't be here. If it was, you would have been, this is a red flag, I'm out. I'm done. I'm not even entertaining this. But because you know that there's not that transference between the two of you, you are getting the rare opportunity. And it doesn't come around very often in our lives. And some people, they never find it because A, they're not open to it. B, they're not looking. C, it's not what they were meant or ready or contracted to experience in this life. So you have this opportunity to know yourself more fully, more completely, as a result of having a partner, a teammate, to be able to understand exactly how much you really do understand, know, respect, and love yourself. As in the example, as a result of working with them, you realize that you maybe love yourself 10, 20% more than you thought you did at the beginning of the conversation. Someone like that is a rarity. And it is a beautiful blessing to have that in your life. And you know that. And there's a voice in your mind possibly going, yeah, but if I tell them this truth, they're just going to They're not going to be there. They're not going to be able to roll with this. They're going to think less of me, or I just can't cope with them thinking less of me. And I think the greatest challenge is to allow them, when you give them this truth, to have a moment to just kind of process what you just said, to really digest it before they respond or react. And maybe they have a question, and it's because they're trying to understand. It's not because they're judging you. It's because they want to really understand what you're experiencing, because they love and respect themselves. Maybe they're at a different percentage in that moment. Maybe they think they love themselves 80%. Maybe they think they love themselves 60%, and you started the conversation at 70. You don't really know where they're coming into it from. So they may need like a moment to kind of really understand and digest the truth you just gave them. And once they do that, you're going to be dealing with someone that you have encountered many times before in varying degrees of vulnerability and honesty and being authentically present with one another, who will do what they have always done, which is surprise you. They will be the contradiction to the rule. They will go, okay, wow, I mean, I can kind of understand some of what's going on in your perspective. So, and then they move forward with that, and you end up going, wow, I never looked at it from that perspective. I never thought of it that way. That's how you really see this. Wow, that's fascinating, because there's not just, perspective, opinion, emotion, thought. There's logic in it that you can respect and understand. And that's a similar thing to, because you're fascinated with them, you don't already know what they're going to say. And because they are the contradiction to the rule, you don't know how that's going to play out. Now, there is one example that is coming to mind where this makes sense. Just like mathematics is the common universal language, when we send a message out or have sent a message out desiring to know if there is intelligent life out there that could understand what we just sent them, it's mathematics. So logic is common. If this, then that. And if you don't agree with their logic, or they don't agree with yours, it could be like, well, what about this? Well, what about that? Well, what about this? It's like you're teaming up to problem solve. You're troubleshooting together. Because if they can surprise you, if they fascinate you, and if you've had conversations like this before with them, maybe not as serious, maybe not as intimate, maybe not as vulnerable, but you've had them before, you understand that sometimes, usually, more often than not, I don't want to say 100% of the time, but that's kind of where it's coming through. You walk away from that conversation seeing your world from a different perspective, and because you can see your world from a different perspective, you understand a little more of the pieces on the playing field. Like you're playing chess against the universe, against life, against the world you're in. And you have no idea where their knights are, but you know they're out there because you can tell by how the pawns move around them. Like maybe an invisible pawn, their knight took one of your pawns. So you know it's there, but you can't see it. This individual, this person, can help you find that. They can help you see in your blind spot. And because you have a common language of logic, it clicks, it makes sense. And they They come to you at times as well in this very situation, but in the reverse. They need help understanding what they can't see, and they know that the way that you are unique in how you experience and analyze and are aware of life, of self, can see in their blind spot. Eros and Psyche it might help to kind of dive a little deeper into some of the different writings of their story. Psyche is very much like consciousness and how love, emotion of self and thus other plays a really big role in our experience in this life. I think the biggest thing that really highlights here is that no one is perfect, and you're not expected to be perfect, because I'll tell you, no one else is. And when you find somebody that has a similar dynamic to this with you, hold on to them. Don't let them go lightly. You fight for that, because it's rare and it's beautiful, and it's not something to give up lightly, because not many people can reach someone in this way. Not many people can be able to show you what's going on in your blind spot. Not by giving you the answer, not by telling you what's there, but by allowing you to answer the questions that they have with information you maybe don't even share with them. You have all the information. It's like getting fresh eyes on a problem, and you respect the mind. You respect the scientific mind on a scientific problem. It's a huge compliment to bring something like that to someone. Two separate individuals choosing to understand themselves or the scientific problem more clearly by working together, by collaborating. Logic is a very key thing in this. Just like the language of mathematics between two very different species, technologically advanced or not, societies, they would have that same language in common, that one object is one object, two objects is two. I'm getting code like zeros and ones. Binary. There we go. Give me a moment. I believe that is pretty much what is being called to come through for this reading. Please do like, share, comment, subscribe. Send me an email, trinity.gaia.consciousness@gmail.com if you would like to work with me. The divine within me, the love within me, honors the divine, the love within you. Namaste.